Is 6:30 p.m. Can I have a roll, please?
Ms. McMurray.
Here.
Ms. Vaughn.
Here.
Mr. Antoinette.
Here. Also present is Fiscal Officer Pat Myers, Assistant Fiscal Officer HR Donna Batten, Deputy Police Chief James Denman, Director of Roads, Bridges, Parks Lauren Fitzpatrick, Chief Ponzi from Fire, Joe Schaefer, Director of Zoning and Development, and Paul Wise, Township Administrator. Right now, stand if you can for Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm going to deviate a little bit from the agenda. If you have not been aware or haven't met, Trustee Annette McMurray is now our new trustee. She applied with 6 other applicants. 7 applicants plus Annette. And after a lot of deliberation, Renee and I agreed that Annette has the same value and visions that we have for the township, and we are confident that she'll be a welcome addition. So if you want to add some little biography of yourself, take some time to do that.
So excited to be here. I've been call it on and off resident since I was 11 years old. So I know Genoa and the kind of the growth and changes that have occurred over the last few years. And just excited to finally be able to serve my community. So thank you very much.
Welcome. All right, Pat,
Yeah.
fiscal report.
Welcome. First, I'd ask for a motion to add our newest trustee, Trustee McMurray, to the Huntington Bank Agreement, please.
Yes, I move to enter into a government municipal public funds banking resolution agreement with Huntington National Bank to add trustee Annette McMurray to checking account number 0189-830-4315. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Ms. McMurray.
No. None. Sorry.
You abstain.
Don't
Sorry.
go against yourself.
First meeting. First meeting.
Ms. Vaughn. Yes. Mr. Antoinette.
Yes. We'll put down abstain. right?
Abstain, yes, sorry.
Are you going to vote on the minutes?
I will not.
Okay, I'll just call it, put you abstain.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, I'd ask for approval of 3 sets of meeting minutes. The first will be the February 6th, 2025 zoning meeting minutes, for which you all had a chance to review, I believe.
Question. I wasn't at that meeting, and there's only one trustee here who was.
Yeah, that's true, because Connie was here.
So technically, you're just approving them as minutes. You can vote on them.
Okay.
You do not have to abstain from them.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I move to approve the following trustee meeting minutes. Special meeting February 6th, regular trustee meeting May 13th, and May 21st special trustee meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms.
Discussion?
Vaughn.
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette.
Yes.
Okay. Next, the only other thing I have is financials. So I'll have them for your signature after the meeting. Ending balance, end of May 31st, 2025, everything is balanced and reconciled. $27,255,244.18. The way that breaks out is our primary account is $6,012,654.94. Our pooled investments, the Fifth Third side is $19,475,059.61. And lastly, we have $1,767,529.63 in the Star Ohio investment account. So again, I'll have all these for your review and your signatures. Unless you have anything for me, that's all I have.
Thank you. Anything?
Mm-mm.
Thanks, Pat.
Mhm.
Now open up to public comment. Anybody wants to comment, please come up, state your name, address for the record. Make sure that microphone's on, please.
So Sebastian Bernard, 5640 Hughes Road. I'm also on the zoning commission, just gonna say that. So I briefly, I don't know if Joe can put something on the screen.
Use a clock.
Okay. I previously reached out regarding a potential park on the east side of Hoover Reservoir. At that time, I inquired about the possibility of the township acquiring the 25-acre parcel located between Brettonwood Drive, Teresa's Trail, and Hughes Road. Unfortunately, I understand that there were no available funds or grants to support this acquisition. It now appears that the development of this land is moving forward through the county. In light of this, I feel compelled to respectfully request your reconsideration of a more modest opportunity, the creation of a trail and potentially a small park within the development area. Our township's comprehensive plan emphasizes the goal of providing park access within a half a mile of all households, prioritizing underserved areas as new opportunities arise. As shown on the attached map, which you can see on the next slide. The east side of Hoover Reservoir remains significantly underserved. The recent acquisition of Freeman's Park did little to expand service to new households, and this development represents the last large undeveloped area on the east corner of the township. You can see the highlighted area is the area that is served in a half-a-mile radius, and then you can definitely see that on the, also on the east upper corner, but also on the east bottom corner, there is actually no parks. I also put in the area where the development would be. You can see there about in the middle on the east side. That's where that development will take place. While I recognize that purchasing the entire 25 acres is no longer feasible, there is still a valuable opportunity to connect 3 neighborhoods through a simple walking trail. Can you do the next slide? So this is the area. It would connect basically Britton Woods, which is on the bottom, Hughes Roads on the east side, and then on the top you have Teresa's Trail. So based on the latest site plan submitted to county zoning, I have tentatively proposed a 15-foot wide area with a pathway shown in blue. You can see that on the next slide. This is just a tentative drawing about what it could be. And that tentatively blue area would be less than an acre. You can see there on the bottom, put it all in there. And connect the surrounding communities with it would just be a path. It would be not allowed for cars, just connecting the neighborhoods and have a safer way to get from one area to another. Additionally, I suggest a possibility of incorporating a small park at the intersection point of these neighborhood connections. This park could remain largely natural with a mulch or dirt path, maybe a picnic table, or a few benches to create a peaceful community-oriented green space. I believe the township could initiate a conversation with the developer to explore a mutual beneficial arrangements. Such amenities would not only serve current residents, but could also enhance the appeal of the new lots being developed. Thank you for your time and your consideration. I appreciate your continued commitment to improving our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian. Any other public comment? None? Okay, any trustee comments?
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Our next meeting in July, I will be on vacation. It was pre-planned prior to my appointment. I traveled back today from Hocking Hills to attend today's meeting, and I'm going to turn around and drive back down to be with my family. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I won't be present, but I would like to be, if we could potentially reschedule.
So that's July 8th is this regular scheduled meeting?
Can we do the 17th? That's our hold date. How about the 17th?
That would work.
Is there anything that we need to address before the 17th?
The only thing that would be coming up would be a potentially special meeting in June sometime to, if we pass the resolution of necessity this evening, would be to get information from the auditor's office, and then, once we receive that, to do the resolution to proceed.
So we would do that in the
So-
morning, and we don't need all three of us for that.
True.
Okay.
So that could be done later in June after we receive the financial data.
Joe's got his hand up.
I'm open to July 17th, if that works for everyone else.
I said Joe wanted to say something.
A little later on the agenda, but this is relevant. So I am going to be coming before you to schedule a zoning hearing in late June or early July. Because of our timing restrictions, I don't think it'll conflict with the July 8th date because we'll have to have it done or open the hearing before then. But just as you're talking about meetings, just know I'm going to be in front of you asking for a meeting date in late June or early July as well.
And your meeting is just acceptance? We're not actually going to discuss anything?
That'll be up to you.
Okay.
Technically, you have to open the hearing. Now, whether or not you want to open and automatically continue to a date that just works for everybody, that is absolutely a thing you could do. We would just want to make sure we would frame any public notice that way, so people don't come to a meeting thinking that they're going to hear talk, and it's really just a procedural matter.
So tonight, we acknowledge the zoning commission recommendation.
Yeah, you were going to acknowledge, and then we
Schedule
were
the
scheduled,
hearing.
correct. So,
Okay.
just since you were talking dates, I wanted to make sure that was on your
Okay.
radar.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks.
So 17.
We're good with the 17th,
I can
at
do
least for that?
17th.
Okay.
Works for me too. Because I was going to be out of town
Same
that night too.
time, 6:30.
So that works out perfect.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? McMurray, trustee McMurray? No?
No, I do not.
Thanks.
You have everything you've done already? There's probably 10 things you've done already. You're not telling us any of them? It's probably, yeah, seriously.
I don't have anything additional, no.
First of all, I want to welcome officially Annette to the team. And this is our first recorded meeting where we appointed Annette. It was in the morning. You know, I just wanted to say a few things because yes, we had a blurb in the paper, but I just feel like I owe an explanation to the residents. We did have 8 people apply. We had 6 complete applications, and it was a tough decision. Everybody interviewed very, very well. But I think the one thing that stood out for me, for Annette, is I met Annette many years ago when I used to come to public meetings, especially zoning, and I would speak, and Annette would do the same thing. Annette was always well-researched when she would bring items to the zoning commission or the trustees at zoning meetings. She played an instrumental part in the referendum in 2018. She helped collect signatures with the group that was collecting signatures. And I feel like obviously in the township, zoning is very important to residents, you know, throughout the years. Since I've been a trustee, I've tried to revitalize or revise the zoning resolution, the comprehensive plan. As soon as Mark got in, we reconfigured the density in the zoning resolution so that it flipped what previous boards had done. We're in the process of doing the omnibus bill to kind of clean up some things, that some of it is legal changes that have happened. It just needs to be updated, but there are some really good changes in the omnibus bill from what I've seen so far. So I've appointed enough zoning commission members and Board of Zoning Appeal members that they talk a good talk when you're interviewing them, but when they actually get on a board, they don't really align with, I believe, Mark and I's philosophy of zoning and really what the people have asked for in this township. So for me, that was important, and everybody else was kind of a mystery, but I knew I was comfortable where Annette was in regards to zoning. And to me, that's what put her over the edge. So I just wanted to let everybody know that. Changing gears, McNamara Playground. I know last meeting we talked about going out for grants. Paul and Lauren and I met with a couple different groups. So the Blue Jackets grant ended up not panning out. We were going to have to change our design too much to meet their standards to get a grant. So we decided not to pursue that. The Board of Developmental Disabilities, they don't have the funding I was hoping they would have. There might be a little bit there. I'm not sure we'll get anything. They did refer us, though, to an organization that does give grants. So Lauren and Jim are pursuing that. Paul and I met with the Southeast Delaware County Coalition. Tracy Davies, Township Administrator, put together. It was Genoa, Harlem, Galena, Sunbury, and Trenton was invited, but nobody showed up. It's just the Southeast Indiana, or sorry, I'm from Southeast Indiana, so it just kind of rattles off, but Southeastern Delaware County is really close to Intel, and these are the communities that are going to be impacted by Intel. So it's just a way for all of these entities to collaborate and just find out what's happening in your backyard. So it was the first meeting. The group decided we're going to meet again. We'll meet again in July, maybe every other month. So we'll see how that goes. Paul and I met with Westerville yesterday just because they reached out, and I thought it was valuable, but I'll just leave it at that. Not a whole lot of substance came out of that meeting. And we met with Columbus again about annexation. We're going to discuss that now, I guess. I don't know what kind of update we need to give.
Basically, they talked about the plan with us. We're encouraging a meeting with their safety forces so we understand how and when, if they do annex Hoover, what effect will that have on our police and fire department, the response teams, any water rescue issues. They initially said, yeah, we're going to reach out, but no one's provided me with dates yet from Columbus. So we're still in a holding pattern there. We're not in any rush. So we're hoping to get things finalized soon on that.
And our attorney, Pete Griggs, has been working through this process with us. He's reviewed every draft that we've had. I also have sent it to the county, and Tracy Davies and Eric Hostetler, the county attorney, is reviewing it too, because you can't have too many eyes on this thing. So I want as many people to look at it and get feedback. You know, you never know what a group might miss. So I think that's important. Finally, I had as part of a director position on the Ohio Township Association, we met Friday, and Kyle Brooks, their lobbyist, gave a legislative update, some interesting, impactful things that I think I'd like to highlight. One is Senate Bill 104. Senator Brenner, our own senator, is responsible for this bill, and it deals with short-term rentals, specifically Airbnbs. There is a companion bill in the House, 109. It's supposed to limit any municipality from restricting Airbnbs in your community. There is a grandfather clause in this, so that if your township already has restrictions in place, those will stay in. But if this passes, anybody who doesn't currently have any restrictions, you can't ban any Airbnbs. It would charge a $50 fee. It's a one-time fee when they are first put into place. It will allow for restrictions for health, safety, and general welfare. I'd like to point out that it is well known, and I spoke with Senator Brenner about 2 months ago, and he admitted he has 2 Airbnbs in Delaware County, specifically Delaware City. Just putting that out there. As far as referendum, again, this is near and dear to my heart. 2 years ago, when they did the budget, they approved an increase for signatures on referendums to get a referendum on a ballot. It was 8% of the gubernatorial vote in your township whatever the last one was. 2 years ago, they increased that percentage to 15%, and right now there is a push to increase it to 35%. And I'm just aggravated because the OTA many months ago, actually 2 years ago, gave me a list of a spreadsheet of all the required signature requirements and the percentage that you needed. In by far, like 10% is high. Most of them have 8 or below. There's only 2 items, and one is liquor, and I can't remember the other one, where you need 35%. So all they do is quote, oh, well, you need 35% to pass any liquor. Well, so what? What about the other? There's probably 50 other rules in there, and almost none have a deadline of how much time you have to collect the signatures. For a referendum, it's 30 days. I think there's only one other issue where it's 30 days. Others are unlimited. For right now, there's an initiative to get rid of property tax. They're collecting signatures right now, and they don't have to turn them in August to be on this ballot. They can choose not to go on the ballot this August, and they can wait until next year. So they have a whole year to collect all of these signatures. It's not fair. So I've pushed back to Senator Brenner. I got nowhere. He is dead set on 35%. I think that although I'm adamantly opposed to the 35%, if you're going to do that, give more time. So he did, to his credit, he pushed for an increase to give people 45 days, but it didn't pass the current iteration of the bill. So I'm frustrated. I've reached out to Representatives Lear and Lorenz. They're both our representatives in Delaware County, just because there's something in the House that is going in, and if Senator Brenner can't get it done in the Senate, then somebody needs to push for it in the House. So, in my opinion, they are taking away the people's right to represent themselves. And honestly, here as a trustee, if we don't vote on development the way you want us to, then you should be able to overturn our vote. Anyway, so if you have a minute and you feel as passionately as I do, I encourage you to reach out to our elected officials, especially Senator Brenner. That's all I have.
Thank you. You want to, Mr. Bonner, you want to comment on the annexation while we're on the subject?
Microphone on.
I'm asking Mr. Bonner to speak because he sent an email and it was.
I'm Brett Bonner. I live at 6275 Sunbury Road. I want to compliment Trustee Renee for working with Columbus and Joe and the rest of the staff at Genoa Township. I think you're making the best of a situation that maybe even better than it is. But there are some asks. I've talked to quite a number of neighbors, and I think it's just kind of the start. First, I would observe that I would love to see the council's opinion of this annexation to convince myself that we have very few options. My reading and study of the law says we do. That being said, I find that the Columbus Watershed Group at the executive level is easy to work with. And after years of working with the frontline management, I was shocked to have an issue this year. And so I do want to counsel the township that there's still issues. We were able to reach a satisfactory arrangement, or I don't want to say satisfactory, but an accommodation. Other of my neighbors have not been as successful. I would ask that the council, since you're giving up what could be the premier signature, every golf course has a signature hole. That reservoir seems to be a signature feature of Genoa Township. I don't know, I think you probably get some tax revenue or should be entitled to tax revenue from it. I see Renee saying no. But for that accommodation, we would like to be good neighbors. We would like to, for instance, maintain a small strip of property, because right now, I'm so gun shy that I am not maintaining a foot or two inside my own property line, which actually puts me at, by my reading of the law, in non-compliance with state laws. Maybe a council, maybe a way to handle disputes and resolutions would work, just like we can come to the township and talk over some of these issues. I don't know why that would be difficult for us residents around the lake, or indeed anybody who has to interface with Columbus, other than going to court or going to the city council or something like that. There might be something we can do. There are several other suggestions that I sent to Renee that I would like Joe and the township to consider. And that's all I have to say at this point. But I do think some of the legal interpretations I've already had, that there's some pros and there's some cons. But I do believe the township is working towards a successful resolution, and I do believe you're working in your residents' interest. So thank you very much for giving the opportunity to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item on the agenda, Chief Ponzi, Fire.
I hadn't looked far enough ahead to realize I was next on the list. Sorry about that. I have two items on the agenda tonight that basically Donna's going to handle for me, but I'll explain to you why we're asking for this tonight. Last year, last year, those of you that were here will remember that the previous EMS billing company that we had an agreement with that did our billing for EMS transports suffered a massive cyber attack, and basically were shut down for approximately 6 months. Obviously, you all have been party to and approved for us to enter an agreement with the new billing company. We had no idea when we started with the new company, they were gonna backbill all of the EMS transports that happened since the end of February of 2024, once we got everything started. Well, they have since done that. We had no idea how much money we needed to put into the budget for 2025 to pay for the billing fees, because we didn't have any idea how much revenue of the old billing was actually gonna come through for us. Well, much to our surprise, we've been pretty successful. They have been billing on our behalf. So to make a long story really short is we didn't put enough money in the budget for 2025 to pay our fee when they collect the revenues for us, and we need to permanently appropriate more funds. I get that messed up all the time, and I'm just gonna turn it over to them.
That's okay. Thank you, trustees. Actually, yes, we need, the first resolution is to approve the 2025 permanent appropriations for the EMS billing fund. And then the second one would be to issue a purchase order to then therefore pay the billing company.
Okay. I move to approve the following permanent appropriation amendment. Fire, rescue, ambulance, and EMS fund purchase services increased from $79,920 to $99,920. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antonetts?
Yes. Motion passed. Okay, now we're the second part of it, right?
Yes.
To move the money?
We're gonna
Yes.
spend the 20 that you just moved.
Yeah.
We moved it, now you're gonna spend it.
I move to approve a purchase order to Med-Account Management, Inc. in the amount of $20,000 for EMS billing process. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None? Vote?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes,
Mr.
motion
Antonetts?
passed.
Thank you, trustees.
Is that it?
Yeah, and if I may, just a quick update. I printed this off this morning. Beginning probably at the end of January, when we turned all of the backlog of transports over to Medi-Cal, and they started billing those. I could go into details, but I won't bore you with that. But so far this year, we've billed out $778,000 in fees, and we have received $314,000 in transport fees. Normal for us with the previous vendor, we were making anywhere between $220,000 to $240,000-ish a year in EMS billing. Of course, that is depending on how busy you are. But our recovery rate on the back billing seems to be very successful. So I just wanted to report that to you, that a lot of the back billing has been coming in, and we're very pleased to see that. Obviously, the EMS billing pretty much supports the EMS operation that we provide to the residents of the township. So that's going to help us out greatly in that fund.
Good.
Good.
Thank you.
If I could add one additional caveat to the 300, and what did you say was billed 3?
We billed 778 and received 314.
Okay, and I have a revenue year-to-date with, as of May, 298. So that's good.
As of this morning.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Paul?
I have a couple things. One, the first is just a report. The Ohio Township Association puts on various webinars every month, and I had the pleasure to be asked to be part of a webinar recently. The webinar was entitled Township Administration 101. I was asked to co-host with Jamie Fisher, the Norwich Township Administrator. So thanks to Joe and Paul Benson, they were able to make our conference room in the office a video center for the meeting. So it went off seamlessly, and I heard a lot of good responses from the numerous townships that logged in and watched the presentation. So
Good for you.
if you need to sleep some night, you might want to tune in. And my voice will, that was early, it was in June. It was first week in June or something.
All right, I'll have to go back, because we have a subscription, so we can go back and
Administration.
watch it.
Administration 101, so.
All right, I'm going to check it out.
Secondly, I want to help out the police this evening with their first item of business. Chief McMillan had scheduled a vacation for this summer, and the trustees went and changed the night of the meeting, the date of the meeting, so he's on a cruise right now. So I'm going to pitch in to help the deputy chief with the resolution that's on your agenda this evening. We have a resolution of necessity. What this resolution states is that, first off, the committee of residents met and decided upon what the appropriate funding level for the police department would be. They made a recommendation to the board. Mark was part of that committee, and then the board approved us asking for a resolution of necessity this meeting. So the resolution of necessity is stating that the township's going to be asking for a renewal plus an increase. The current funding is 4.2 mils. The police department only needs an additional 0.7 mils of operational funds to work, and that will give us a total of 4.95 mils for this resolution of necessity. Once the board passes it this evening, I will hand deliver this to the auditor's office. They will certify how much funds will be coming to the township based upon 4.95 mils. At the next meeting, the board, probably potentially a special meeting, the board will then accept the funding of that levy and move into the resolution to proceed. So I ask your support this evening to pass this resolution.
5 year.
5 years.
I'll continue.
Okay, there's a lot here. I'm just going to read the resolution. Okay, I move to adopt the following resolution. resolution of necessity to levy a renewal and an increase of a tax in excess of the 10 mil limitation, the purpose of providing and maintaining vehicles, communications, and other equipment used directly in the operations of the police department, or the payment of salaries of permanent police personnel, including the payment of the police employer's contribution required under section 742.33 of the Ohio Revised Code, or the payment of the costs incurred by townships as a result of contracts made with other political subdivisions in order to obtain police protection, and as further presented here. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yep. Just want to say kudos to the police department because I was told that during the initial meeting, the chief and Bill Byrd were almost identical in figures. So if you can make Bill Byrd happy on a first try,
You make a number match
that
his.
speaks volumes.
We love Bill.
I encourage his phone call. He challenges
Right,
us, which I welcome.
Yeah.
Give me some pushback and let's talk it out.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of sitting in on the committee for roads and bridges levy, and now with police, and Mr. Byrd was on both, and he is very conscientious about our money.
Should have been there when Mr. Havens was still living here with you.
Yeah.
Put two of them together.
Any further discussion?
I think Deputy Chief has a comment.
Oh, I just want to say thank you. It was, I was there for the meetings, and it was interesting. It was good. It's good.
Yeah.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed.
Pat has a freestanding version of this that you'll need to sign.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
The second item for the police department is we are seeking approval to begin the application process for two separate grants. The first grant is a Ohio Law Enforcement Vest Program. This grant is actually funded out of the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Comp, and it provides money to eligible departments with the purpose of purchasing body armor to enhance the safety and prevent the injury of law enforcement. Currently, we have 7 officers with vests expire in the next 18 months. Vests are a little interesting. They take some time to get sized and then produced, so it can be up to 6 months, even sometimes longer. So we do have to think about this kind of ahead. We have previously been awarded a federal grant to help combat the cost of these vests, but that is actually only a 50% match. This grant, if we were awarded, would actually be would only be a 25% match for us. The total of those vests would be $10,855.25 with no grant. If we were awarded this grant, our grant remaining balance would be $2,713.81. Again, the state grant is a little bit easier, my understanding, to apply for. And what we're hoping to do is kind of group our officers with vests together. They're kind of sporadic now throughout the years, and like I said, it can take some time with 6 months to get those vests produced.
Great. I move to approve a grant application with the Ohio Law Enforcement Vest Program funded by Bureau of Workers' Compensation for the purchase of body armor vests with a township match of 25%. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Having none?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed.
Thank you, Board. And the last item on our agenda is another grant. We are asking for the approval to begin the application process. This second grant is the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant, otherwise known as the JAG grant. And we are hoping that this grant would help us perhaps purchase new tasers. Currently, the department is using a Taser X26P. These tasers are becoming obsolete, and they were actually handed down by Delaware County to us. The cost of these tasers is substantial. We are quoted for $150,788.80 to replace those tasers for each one of our officers. If we were to be awarded this grant, the minimum match on this would be 25%, totaling $37,697.20. Now, it's my understanding that this grant can vary in how much funding is provided to the department, so it may not be that much funding. But it's my understanding, again, what will happen is that if we were awarded, we would know what that amount is. which could open up for further discussion in which the grant could be denied if the amount wasn't necessary, or not necessary, but we didn't want to put that much money out at the time, or the police department didn't have that funding. So unfortunately, when you apply, you don't really know exactly what that amount is going to be until it's awarded.
Okay. I move to approve a grant application with the Edward Burr Memorial Justice Assistance Grant application for the purchase of police department tasers with a township match of 25%. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None? Oh, I have a real quick question. So if we apply to this and we, the amount we don't agree to, there's no harm in this, right? I mean, we're not locked into this until we get whatever the grant offer is.
Correct.
Okay. All right, any further discussion?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed. Next on the agenda, Joe, zoning.
Good evening again, Board. As I noted earlier, I come before you regarding zoning case number 2024-05, the omnibus zoning resolution amendment, which has sort of been briefly mentioned earlier this evening. So I'm just going to briefly read through the memo just to get everyone up to speed. Monday, June 9th, the Genoa Township Zoning Commission heard testimony on the subject zoning resolution amendment, which proposes numerous revisions to the current Genoa Township zoning resolution. This hearing was a continuation of prior hearings that previously occurred on December 9th of 2024, as well as January 13th, February 10th, March 10th, and April 14th of this year. Following the close of testimony and discussion on June 9th, the Zoning Commission deliberated and passed the following, and this is paraphrased. Motion to recommend approval of the subject amendment initiated November 12th, 2024, and dated as revised April 7th, 2025, noting additional revisions to proposed section 1717.01 and 1904.10. The vote was a unanimous 5-0 vote for recommendation of approval. As such, staff this evening is requesting two things. First, that the trustees consider passing a motion that formally acknowledges receipt of the Zoning Commission's recommendation of approval for said amendment. I recommend that be done this evening. This is in line with the procedure set forth in our resolution as well as Ohio law.
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees acknowledge the recommendation of the Zoning Commission's approval of ZC 2024-05 Omnibus Zoning Resolution Amendment. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None?
Ms. McMurray? Yes. Ms. Vaughn? Yes. Mr.
Yes.
Antoinette?
Motion passed.
Thank you. The second item I ask is that we schedule the public hearing, or at least the opening of the public hearing for the trustees' hearing on this zoning case item. So we obviously have to hit our advertising requirements, but also still have it within 30 days of the acknowledgement this evening. So I'm looking at when I think I still utilize the Gazette for the ad despite the change in the Ohio law. I had not necessarily concerns, but some questions about, we have multiple social media accounts, and I had a little bit of question as to whether or not we would have to put the legal notice on all of our social media accounts. So right now, we're still just using the Gazette because it's what we know. So that ad I probably could get to run this Saturday, but to hit the 10-day minimum notice requirement, that means the meeting dates that the hall is available would probably have to either be Monday, June 30th, Tuesday, July 1st, Wednesday, July 2nd, or Wednesday, July 9th, which I'm starting to sound like that date probably won't work. So to follow up on the conversation you had earlier, you could theoretically schedule the hearing and just schedule the meeting solely for the purpose of just formally opening the hearing without doing any presentation or comments. If we do that, I would just want to know that so I can advertise it accordingly. And then at that meeting, you could schedule the hearing date on which you actually intend to have the presentation and start soliciting comments and having discussion. And then, even though we wouldn't be required, I'd probably just run another newspaper ad because I think it would probably be the right thing to do for that. So I'll open it up to you to make that decision. And we don't need a motion, we just need a consensus.
I'm not in favor of having another meeting just to open up the hearing. I think if we're going to get together, let's make it useful, especially because I want to get moving on this.
I want to get moving too, but I also have no idea what the extent of this is.
But we could take chunks, you know?
I know,
You just
I'm
review
not-
as much as we can. I haven't looked at it.
I haven't either. I want to make sure we have ample time to be able to consult with Joe
Mhm.
on any of the issues, of any of the three of us. So, I think we need at least 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
By the time we'd be able to schedule a meeting with Joe, vacations, time off. So if you want to set a date, I'm okay with that, as long as we have ample time to review it with Joe.
You're saying 3, 4 weeks, so you're talking the week of July 7th. That's, or the 30th is 3 weeks.
I think I can do June 30th.
Of the dates he gave us, I only had 2 available, June 30th and July 9th, but it sounds like the 9th is out for Annette.
Yeah, the 9th would be out for me.
I can't do June 30th.
Okay. So do we open it and accept, it sounds like we're just going to open it and then,
Yeah, if there's only 2 of you present and
Yeah.
you want to just open it and not continue it to a date that you're all 3 available. Once you open it, the time limit, I think, is satisfied, so we're a little bit more flexible in terms of what the next date can be. Obviously, no one wants it to drag out, but as you can see, the zoning commission took several meetings to crunch through it, and that was after they spent a year actually putting it together.
Yeah.
So it's voluminous. I think Trustee Antonetts has it sitting there in front of him, so you can see it's going to be a lot to
No.
get through.
I'm going to pick it up on my way out.
All right, so you want to do June 30th?
That works.
I thought you can't be there.
No.
So
Yeah, but I
it'd
thought
just-
you two were just gonna
just
open
you
up
and
the
I.
meeting.
That's fine.
All right.
If that's the case, can we meet during the day? I mean, if all we're going to
Yeah.
do is open it, so is there a day that week that works better for you, that we don't have to worry about this room being open because we're not going to do anything?
Correct, yeah. If we're talking about a daytime meeting in the conference room, that opens up a lot more dates.
Yeah, I mean, and the whole week prior,
Is that too early for you, Joe?
Trying to think, so what's the date this Saturday?
14th.
The 14th, so we have to do minimum 10 days, so I probably wouldn't do anything before the 25th. To
Yeah.
Be safe.
So you want to, is everybody available the 25th?
I'm available the 26th in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Annette?
What time?
I'm free all day.
The earlier, the better.
You want to do 8?
That'll work.
All right. Okay,
Sounds good.
We're good for June 26th at 8 a.m.
And I'll advertise that I'll make it very clear that for the purposes of opening the hearing and
Yeah.
what we discussed.
And then at that point, should we go ahead and find a date that we can actually meet in July
If you, I
then?
mean, you can discuss it right now if you want.
I think we should,
I want to review it first.
Okay,
and then figure out how
then
long
we'll
it's going to take you?
okay.
Okay.
And I can do emails to individual trustees, and we can,
Yeah.
just like we do for other special
Yep.
meetings,
Yep, okay.
Perfect.
figure out the date. All right, that's all I have for you this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, last but certainly not least.
My first 2 items I have for you this evening is for our McNamara Playground Improvement Project. We were kind of given a heads up by Mid-States that we are going to see a substantial price increase on June 20th. So that's why it was important I presented this to you this evening. The first resolution I have is for permanent appropriations to move from the general fund and the Parks Fund to fund the following purchase order to Mid-States Recreation, which the total of $682,000 would include a 10% contingency that Donna suggested that we put on there just to cover any issues that may arise, hopefully will not, but may arise. But that is the first 2 that I have for you this evening.
Okay, I move to approve the following permanent appropriation amendments. General fund capital outlay increase from $170,000 to $586,000. Parks fund capital outlay increase from $130,000 to $275,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
And if I may add, just so Annette is aware, we do have a $150,000 grant that we've received for this as well. So once everything is put into motion and started, then that will go back into the general fund.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed.
This next item I have is for our maintenance building restroom what's that? Oh, purchase order, yeah. The
Yeah.
purchase order for Mid-States Recreation in the amount of $682,000 for the McNamara Playground improvement.
I move to enter into an agreement with Mid-States Recreation and approve a purchase order in the amount of $682,000 per state term schedule pricing for the McNamara Park Playground Improvement Project and authorize Township Administrator to the agreement on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yep. Lauren, can you, just for the public's sake, what buckets, or maybe Donna, whoever wants to address that, what buckets is this money coming out of? I know it's not all coming out of parks.
So, no, it's not all coming out of parks. If you look back up the amendments, we are going to establish 586,000 out of the general fund. Of that, 150 will be reimbursed by grant funding, and then the remainder, the 275, is needed out of the parks fund
Thank you.
to cover those costs.
Any further discussion?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed.
Now I'll move on to my building restroom
What's it,
improvement.
do you have a schedule on that?
On the, I'm hearing fall, I haven't got an exact schedule yet. Once we get the agreement signed with Mid-States, then they can give me a more definite answer.
Okay.
It'll all depend on shipping, pretty much. We're gonna do all of our demolition in-house, so we'll take care of all that with my employees, so. Okay?
Yep.
All right. Now we'll move on to my restroom improvement project. This is the project that we had spoke about with the ARPA funds. I've taken the time to get multiple estimates from multiple companies for the electrical, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning for, this will be a renovation. I only have one restroom, and at the moment, I have 18 employees. So that's going to be a big improvement for us. So this will be adding a stall to the already restroom that we have. So that'll be our gentleman's room that will have 2 stalls for them. And then Brooke and I will be blessed enough not to share a restroom with 17 men. And we will have our own restroom finally. So I have purchase orders for emergency plumbing, heating, and air of $13,700 and a purchase order for Rely Electric for $30,595.
I move to approve the following purchase orders for a maintenance building restroom improvement project. Emergency plumbing, heating, and air in the amount of $13,700. Rely Electric in the amount of $30,595. Second.
Second.
Discussion?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes.
The next resolution I have is a purchase order. It's for a blanket certificate in the amount of $58,293. This will be for asphalt repairs. This will be broadly, mainly mill and fill, smaller mill and fill projects that we'll do in-house. It'll also be some of the crack sealing, mastic sealing, but all of our, this should wrap up the rest of our asphalt maintenance for the season.
I move to approve a blanket certificate purchase order in the amount of $58,293 for Township Road asphalt repairs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes. Motion passed.
My next resolution is I've got another CDL upgrade from a Class B to a Class A. This will, if everything goes as planned, be our last upgrade for the year. And this will put an employee in every one of my departments with a Class A CDL. This is for Mr. Chet Daniels. It'll be a $2 an hour supplemental pay increase.
I move to approve a pay supplement for commercial driver's license for the maintenance department effective June 10th, 2025 for Chet Daniels in the amount of $2 per hour. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tie.
Sorry.
It was Renee's turn.
No, I'm like, she's not playing nice.
Renee. Any discussion?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed.
All right, and my final is for approval for a grant application. This grant application was through the Ohio Department of Transportation. Attended the Delaware County Township meeting with Renee and Paul at the end of last year and first learned of this sign grant that we had available. So I moved forward and got Jim Barna involved with me to help with that. This is for going for a $50,000 grant. So the ODOT provided us with a map that showed us high crashes, where our crashes are at, injury crashes, fatality crashes, and that type of thing. Jim and I sat down and I went through and looked at where we have high densities and where we have the more serious crashes. And I've added signage to be put in that area to hopefully cut down on those types of situations. So in the big picture, if we are awarded this grant, we're looking at over 700 new signs coming to the township and a little over 300 sign posts to go with that, as well as the hardware.
I move to approve a grant application with the Ohio Department of Transportation Township Safety Sign Grants for the purchase of road signs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
One question real quick. There is no match on this, right? This is a
No, there
full
is not.
grant. That's why it's 100% grant.
Great.
And I would ask too, a little bit more detail on the type of signs, locations. Are they township roads, not county roads?
Yes, we didn't do any county roads. My team went through, we started a GIS program with the Delaware County Engineers Office in April that we did every single sign that's on a township road, not the county roads. A township road that we care for is now accounted for through a GIS program. So we went through, now we know how many signs we have. We have 491 stop signs. So
For anybody counting.
yeah, so we went through some of the high-density crash areas is stoplights and stop signs. The majority of them don't have a stoplight ahead sign or don't have a stop ahead sign, so those are some of the things I've added to our inventory so we can put those up. It allowed us to replace every stop sign and every 25-mile-per-hour sign in the township. This grant would allow that, and much needed. Most of them are showing significant fading. I think Bob got this grant several years
That's what I
ago.
was going to say. About 10 years ago, Bob got this grant, replaced every stop sign in the township.
Wow.
So it's a good grant.
Yeah, from my training that I had at the state, the majority of our stop signs do not meet reflectivity requirements, so those are definitely needing replaced. So that's some of the things. This will go through our 25-mile-per-hour signs. We've got 273, if I remember right, 25-mile-per-hour signs, and they're pretty dated. I think Bob mostly got stop signs and the reflective strips last time. So they are definitely in need as well.
Very good.
Will you install them? or-
Yes.
That's the same
Okay.
question.
Yep, that'll be a good wintertime project.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that.
Yeah,
Being
that's great.
proactive that's awesome for the township.
Ms. McMurray? Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed. Next item on the agenda is move to executive session. I move to adjourn to executive session at 7:29 PM to consider the compensation of a public employee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes. We're now in executive session. Okay. I move to return from the executive session. The time is 7:50 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, none, roll?
Ms. McMurray?
Here.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes. Okay, as a result of the executive session, we have one resolution we'd like to make a motion on. And I will make a motion that we promote Nathan Fry to Maintenance Department Crew Leader, and as a result, provide a 3% increase in his compensation to $40.90 an hour. Do I have a second?
Effective today.
Okay, effective today. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? None?
Ms. McMurray?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Mr. Antoinette?
Yes, motion passed. No more business before the board? I make a motion to adjourn. The time is 7:51. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are we gonna do the?
No,
Job
we thought we were going to
description.
wait till you,
Oh, no, just make a consensus of the board to update job descriptions and move forward with creating a job opening posting for the maintenance department.
So moved.
Consensus of the board?
yeah, I'm okay with that. Okay,
And now we.
Motion adjourned has been seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.